What's going on, guys? I have TMNT Journeys, issue number 3. This is that Peter Laird and Jim Lawson book, and I have been really enjoying it up to this point, and so this one's actually no different. So we'll just get cracking. Now, I do want to do a quick recap as far as where we're at. So, uh, Mikey got kind of hit by a car, got taken into a hospital, and I think I had made mention that it might have been like on a different planet. That is incorrect if I did say that. It is part of the New York City, like we know it. It's not part of like a different dimension or any like similar like city. It is New York. It is of current time. Everything's the same. It's like a real secretive superhero hospital that he got taken to. So if that was something that I said, I want to make that correction now. And then meanwhile, Raph, along with Donnie and Casey, they're fixing up a big old truck that they found hidden in a subway tunnel. Now, how Donnie kind of came across it was a little on the like fortunate side. It was like, man, that was really lucky that you found it in that way. But I really didn't have too many issues with this one. So that pretty much takes. Oh, and there was some Utrams doing some weird stuff on the moon, and that should get us up to date with most of the plots that are going on within this story so far. So again, issue 3, Peter and Jim being our Peter being the writer and also doing some artwork along with Jim. And our story opens up, and we're in Venezuela. And we have a crew out here, out exploring. They're looking for some sort of dinosaur myth kind of creature. And I don't know everybody's name, but they're all being led by this guy here. His name is Ken. And don't know how relevant these people are going to be, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, they're out there. They're looking for this local legend of a dinosaur-like creature, and Ken's put together this little sketch of all the details that's been given. So he stands up on 2, and he's making like little notes, like might be warm-blooded because he's able to be bipedal, and just give an overall design of what he's got. He's like 3 fingers, longer arms, kind of stuff, and things of that nature. They do happen across a somebody that might be fitting this description, and it's speaking like a weird language, and they can't understand what he's saying, and then it blasts them either to smithereens or perhaps to a different dimension, or transports them to a different location entirely, or just flat out murder them. I have no idea. Because again, we don't know what he's saying here. This is a complete foreign language, so it could be just like an old man, like, "Hey, get out of here," and blast him BFG 9000 like, or perhaps he's like, "Oh, you guys will make great test subjects," and goes then they go somewhere else. So I don't really know what's going on here, and we're not really meant to know. It's just the smoke that's being left where the people once stood. It's a little dark. It kind of gives the impression that the smoke is just rising from a pile of ash that they once were, but I don't know. We were given quite a lot of focus on each individual character. It's not really relevant to the story. That's why I didn't really labor on it too much. It's just a little crew, and they're out looking for it. So the fact that we were kind of getting to know some of these characters just a touch leads me to believe that they're not a big pile of ash sitting right there. But we'll find out later on. Meanwhile, we're going to cut over to Donnie, Raph, and Casey, and they're working on the truck. You see Raph's over here. He's putting the wheel back on, and as he's doing that, Casey's got some fresh diesel, and Donnie's just kind of seeing everything. And I just want to take a moment and just want to highlight some of the detail that we have here. So we have an older truck, and I could tell right away that this was a front wheel just by looking at this, just because we have some of the steering components here. Now, trucks tend to be like a fixed axle where the wheels are not going to pivot or anything like that. So when I see the steering components, that leads me to go, okay, he's likely working on the front, and then we do see down here, yeah, that's exactly where he's at. And so it does appear to be a drum brake by having the like the brake fluids and everything filtering through the back. And we have the leaf spring right here, which were very common in older vehicles like that. Not so much something you're going to find nowadays. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of appreciate what all we have here. We also have the battery charger, and we see it's plugged into the battery, so they're topping it off. And I mentioned this in the previous issue, that I really like all the detail that was being put in here, and I kind of compared it to a more modern movie, and I compared it to the first of the Jurassic World films where the two kids just swapped out a battery, and I'm like, when I was watching, I'm like, that is complete horseshit. There's no way. Now, Casey goes on to talk about how he's flushed all the fluids out of this, and they're getting ready to power it up and stuff like that. And I really appreciate that attention to detail. Fluids don't just sit and are ready to go. They're going to go bad. You do need to flush them out, especially if they've sat for so long. Fuel does not stay good forever. So unless you're putting in additives, but even the additives are going to wear off over time as well. So this has been sitting here for, like 30, 40, 50 years? So yeah, I really appreciate that attention to detail. So like I said, Casey mentioned that he'd gotten all the fluids flushed, and they're getting ready to fire it up. And then they start to wonder, what are they going to do with the bodies and the money? And Donnie's like, well, of course we're going to, make sure that the bodies get buried. We're going to say something to somebody, and we'll figure out what to do with the money when that time comes. Raph's like, I think we should just kind of leave the money there. Or not the money, but rather the bodies. Casey is more in agreement with Raph, and Donnie's like, okay, well, maybe Raph's got a point here, but we first just need to get the truck out of here before somebody figures out that we're here in the first place. So they're like, okay, fine. We'll just focus on that. We'll get to it when we get to it. Casey takes the battery off the charger, and then tells Donnie to go ahead and do the honors. He's like, you found the truck, so why don't you go ahead and be the one that fires it up for the first time. Donnie goes ahead and does that, and boom, it's firing up. It's a-working, but a slight problem. We are getting some smoke, and that's just because of all the old fluid just kind of working itself out of the truck. And so it puts them into a coffin fit, but overall they're happy with their success. And they're going to let the smoke clear out of there while they work on the second phase of getting that truck out of there. So we cut over to the Air Force HQ, and they're spotting some abnormalities. They're sensing some sort of what they're calling a bogey, an enemy, or potential enemy, I guess I should say. Somebody that doesn't appear to be too friendly. And it seems to also be jamming up their signals and not giving them clear, it's kind of going in and out of jamming. And they find that it is something coming from the far side of the moon and is actually headed right towards New York and should be in Earth atmosphere within about an hour or so. So this general here, we go to DEFCON 3, the White House is notified, and now we're seeing missile silos starting to be activated. We got jets being scrambled. We got Navy's got their warships out there, and satellites are trying to get a better signal and get more information on what it is that's coming, so they can get as much information as they can. So things getting real quick for the U.S. And so we then take a quick moment to catch up with Mikey. He was in the hospital, and it was like I was saying earlier, it's a hospital geared towards superheroes and stuff like that. Real hush hush and secretive. And we see he's pretty much being let go. He's okay. He's ready to go home. Doctor offers him some pain meds. Mikey declines. And he's like, okay, well, if you ever change your mind, just let us know. We can even deliver them to you if you so like. And so they're on the elevator, and Mikey starts to notice that the elevator's not going up and down anymore. It's actually going to side to side. So this secretive hospital also has a Wonkavator. So if you don't know what a Wonkavator is, go ahead and watch the old Willy Wonka movie with Gene Wilder in it. And not only will you understand what I'm referencing, but you also get to watch an awesome movie. So go ahead and do yourself that favor. But yes, they get off the elevator, and Raptar here, this guy with the wings, he's going to give him a lift home. So he gets to fly on out of here. And also, the doctor gives Mikey like a little ID badge, so if he ever were to need their services again, he can at least get to ER and at least get that far. Mikey goes ahead and says, "Hey, can I get 3 more for my brothers?" I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Let me just check and I'll email you if everything's on the up and up, but it should be. He's like, awesome, fantastic. So hitches ride with Raptar there, and up and away they go. And so now I remember in the first one, or I guess the second issue, the first time that we really see this hospital, I had some doubts as to whether or not this hospital was the friendliest of things. I thought maybe they were going to kind of keep Mikey there and test on him and stuff like that. That doesn't appear to be the case. It looks like they're on the up and up. So that's good to get some further clarity. They're letting him go on his own. And yeah, maybe they're still bad, but I really am not getting that feeling at all. Speaking of things that I'm not 100% sure of, we catch up with the Utrams here, and you see that their base, which we saw lifted out of the moon in the previous issue, is on its way to Earth currently. And what they're talking about is they're likely going to be encountering some aggressive action from like the human forces, and it's important that they don't respond in kind. They said that they want to appear to be non-hostile, that the shock is going to be it's going to be a lot for the human race just to take in on own. And that gives me a moment of pause here, just because it's like they want to appear to be non-hostile. That's the words that they're using. It says, we must not appear to be at all hostile. Our arrival alone will be shock enough. And they go on to say, after that, after we enter Earth's atmosphere, it's kind of up to the humans as to what happens next. It's because it's the Utrams, and I'm just like, yeah, we've seen them do good, and we've seen them do not so good. And of course, the most familiar Utram would be Krang. Now, Krang is not somebody that's been in the original series, or he doesn't appear to be anybody in this series, at least not as of yet. So, the Utrams, it's hard to say whether they're going to be good guys or bad guys. It's just that whole appearance, it leads me to believe that there's going to be deception involved. So we'll see how this all unravels, because especially what happens, it's a pretty aggressive move, and I'm like, I feel really weird about that one. So, but we're going to take a quick break. We're going to catch up with Splinter. Splinter's pouring himself some tea. He's getting a snack. He's getting ready. He's going to go over and sit in front of the TV and watch this bullshit that he likes to watch. So, Splinter, yeah, he's been known he likes soap operas and stuff like that, and I've never been a person for soaps. But it looks like he's downgraded Sense and his quality of TV programs, because instead of soap operas, he is now on reality TV, and it's My Spouse is a Chocoholic, and I'm like, good Lord, Splinter, for all your good things, you got some shit taste in TV. And while he's doing that, we see Shadow, Casey's daughter, or rather stepdaughter, Casey and April's stepdaughter. She's coming back from her little time with her boyfriend Jay. And she's kind of just reflecting on the previous conversation that they had about him meeting Splinter, and she is unsure as to whether or not that's a good idea. And she's like, well, I don't know. Pretty sure doesn't sound like I'm too confident, so perhaps I just need to let it be for now. And she comes in and calls out to Splinter. Splinter is now, he's slightly surprised and in a panic, and has her come over and check check out what he's watching. And he is now watching news, and it's all about an alien invasion. And so they're seeing everything that's going on. And this is actually kind of important as far as what it gives us as far as time. I want to read the exact quote here. It says, and I'm just reading partial. It says, "This city, understandably, is on the edge since the events of last September." And we're talking about New York and September and New York. It's clear that we're talking about the 9/11 attacks. And so this puts us probably, I would say probably 2002. And being that the Turtles came out in 1984, and I believe they were 15 at the time. If memory serves me right, the Turtles, when we first meet them, start off as 15-year-olds. Being at 2002, this puts them around 33 years old. Which kind of lines up, because I believe Shadow is 15 currently. So I believe that is all holding up in continuity there. Now, one of the amateur camera people manages to pick up something in the sky, and it's unknown what this is to everybody who doesn't know, obviously. They don't know if these are some of the alien invaders, or there's even been some rumblings of them being some superhero types. And so it's unsure to all the normal folk, and of course Splinter and Shadow know exactly who this is. They at least know that that's Mikey. They have no idea who the winged guy is. And then we see on the news that the Manhattan militia is taking shots at him along with some other people, but they all seem to be missing, so that's fortunate, but understandable when they're that high up. So you're not exactly going to have the best of aim at something like that. If you hit anything, it's going to be pure dumb luck. And so they're like, well, what the hell's going on? And Splinter suggests to Shadow to maybe give Casey and April a call. Just to at least make sure that they're okay. We catch back up with Donnie, Raph, and Casey, and we see what their second phase is, and that was to create this haphazard ramp here. Not exactly the greatest quality ramp. Now, this was supposed to be an abandoned subway. Now, I'll admit, I have no idea how subways work. Where I live, there are no subways, but it's abandoned. We're built on the tracks, but why are people in here? So as they're making their getaway, you see them down in the subway tunnel, and they're trying to run by people, and we got more people coming down the stairs. And that's what I don't understand is maybe like one side of the subway is shut down and the other one's still active. I don't know. I have no idea how it works, so I'm not exactly willing to call this a flaw. Maybe this is how they work, and I'm okay with accepting that. But if not, if this was supposed to be abandoned, then I have no idea why people would be down here. So they make their way up to the street, and they start noticing, that, yeah, people are panicked from them, but there's a lot of people panicked. More than should be from something so silly as just driving a truck out of a subway. And then they start noticing gunfire, and now they're really like, what the hell's going on? And then they start to see what everybody's starting to be panicked about, and they're just in complete awe as to what's going on. Now we have some stealth fighters. They're going out, and they're kind of doing a little bit of scouting as what's going on, and they describe to their HQ what exactly they see. Big cylinder object surrounded by several other smaller ones. And they then attack it, and I got some problems with that. I don't think that would be the smartest of moves, and I don't think that would be the logical next step. And like, I get, especially being that this is like an O2, that tensions would be a little high and emotions would be running deep, but it's like, I don't buy that you would immediately attack somebody who's coming from outer space. You know nothing about them. I think that the way that it was handled in the movie Independence Day, where they were just trying to make contact with it to kind of figure something out, was probably the more accurate representation of how things would be done with such an invasion, right? You're just trying to make contact. You don't want to piss off whatever's there. Because if it's friendly, you really don't want to anger it because, well, their technology outweighs ours. So, let's just try to see if they're friendly. Maybe not attack them right away. So I had a hard time buying that the states would immediately just attack this. But it's got a force field around it. And so they've realized, yeah, it's done no damage and decide to go ahead and regroup, but also keep their eyes on it as well. And we see it's falling, it's making its way out over the ocean there. And we take a quick moment to catch up with April. She's walking, and that's when she gets the phone call from Shadow, but that call gets dropped pretty quick. And keep in mind, the phone of the time, yeah, this is pretty early 2000s era phone. And yeah, the call gets dropped because of interference, and then she realizes what's interfering with her call, and yeah, she now notices that. So, she does go on to say that she's not having a good day. That's what she's telling Shadow. And her doctor's appointment was about, she was trying to find out whether or not she's pregnant. That's what everybody's been kind of waiting to hear from April on. And Casey went over to the turtle lair to, kind of take his mind off things. At least that's how I interpreted it. And so now she gets cut off before the doctor, or she was able to say what the doctor had told her. And so I think we're meant to believe that she is not pregnant. But I'm willing to bet, the doctor had to, reschedule or something due to some chaos. She didn't seem too bummed out. And, parents trying to have kids, they'd be pretty bummed out if they found out that, they're still not pregnant. And so I think it was just, the way I interpreted it was she was a little bit more irritated. And I think that's because the doctor probably had to, reschedule. And things like that, and she's now starting to piece together. Maybe this is why the doctor had to reschedule, is from all this chaos going on. So, but we'll find out. Maybe I'm incorrect there, but I think that's what we're leaning more towards. And then later we can find out that April and Casey are going to have a little one. I think that's what we're gearing up towards. Once all the hecticness of everything that's going to come from all of this starts to die down, maybe that's when we'll find out that Casey and April are going to have a little one. So, yeah, the platform, the alien, whatever this is, makes its way out. You see the Statue of Liberty out there, and it makes its way out into a spot of the ocean that's not being, surrounded by people. It is secluding itself. We do see a boat way out here, but it's far enough away where it does get some, cause it some waves and stuff like that, but nobody gets hurt. And so I'm like, okay, that seems to be, they don't want to hurt anybody. They're wanting to show, hey, we're not hostile. We're not trying to do anything wrong here. However, the next thing I think is a pretty aggressive move. All right, so they get in the ocean and then they fuse themselves to the bottom of the ocean. And I'm like, man, that's you're coming off pretty strong there, bud. You don't even know if you're welcome, but you're like, yeah, fuck it, we're here now. You ain't gonna take us out. Because, yeah, we go on to see from these guys that they were the boat that got kind of caught up in the water. But nobody's hurt. Everybody's fine. Nobody's even injured. And, yeah, that's when we see this big-ass, small city, really. Because that was the boat we were just looking at. It was a fairly decent-sized boat. And you get it to scale over here. It's a fairly large area. And so that is where we end with the book. And so I like a whole lot of what I got in here. Really, My biggest issue was just um, the Air Force immediately being aggressive towards something they don't know the intentions of, right? You got somebody coming in from outer space, maybe don't fire on it right away, because you have no idea what the hell it's capable of. Maybe they came in with like peace in mind, and you're immediately, trying to shove a missile up its ass. That might not take too kindly and just obliterate the entire planet. Like I said, I think Independence Day, for all the flaws that movie's got, I think it handled it fairly well as far as how I feel a government would want to try and reach out to an alien invader to try and figure out its intentions and just try to communicate in some way, shape, or form, and not immediately attack it. That's my biggest issue. Maybe the subway might be an issue, but again, I can't say too much about it just because I have no idea. I have no idea how subways work. I've never been in. Oh, okay, I've been in a subway, but I've never really paid it any mind. The subway I've been into, everything was running. There was like no one side or the other. There was just a big old train station area, and that's all that really worked. So, but yeah, I'd say that this is a very strong entry. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I really like a lot of what we have, especially like this scene. I just was kind of gushing over it and all the attention to detail. I really, really like what Peter has got going on here. And like I was saying, being based in the early 2000s, everything seems to line up properly as far as the age of everyone. So I'm really, really liking this series so far. I'm a big fan of our main series that we've got with Jason Aaron. Well, who will now be done with it, but that main series that we got, this is a good rival to it. So I would very much recommend this as well, especially when you get like that old school feel to it. I really, really like this. So that is all I have for today, guys. So until next time, take care and God bless.